The rain hammered the roof like fists on a coffin, each drop a reminder that Seattle never let you forget its moods. I was midway through tucking little Mia into her unicorn sheets when the front door exploded inward, splintering the fragile peace I'd built around storytime and lukewarm cocoa. And there he was, framed in the doorway like a thunderhead given human form, dripping wet, eyes wild with something feral and broken, his voice cracking the air. "Where the hell is he? Tell me Alex didn't leave you here alone with his kid." My heart slammed against my ribs, cocoa mug slipping from my fingers to shatter on the hardwood like my composure. He stepped forward, water pooling at his boots, close enough that I could smell the storm on him, salt and pine and regret, and in that electric second, I realized babysitting for my neighbor had just become a detonation waiting to happen. Gabriel Ramirez had always been the reliable one, the 25-year-old barista with a smile that could coax tips from the grumpiest tech bros in Capitol Hill. Living in a cramped one-bedroom above a vegan cafe, I scraped by on caffeine-fueled shifts and the occasional gig watching Mia, Alex's 4-year-old tornado of curls and questions. Alex was the kind of dad America romanticizes, widowed young, software engineer by day, soccer coach by night, with a laugh that echoed like summer barbecues in Queen Anne. We'd bonded over shared fences and awkward small talk about the Mariners' endless losing streak. But it was Mia who sealed it, her tiny hand in mine, her giggles pulling me out of the loneliness that clung to me like Seattle fog. I'd known I was gay since high school, back when coming out in a Catholic family in Tacoma meant whispered prayers and slammed doors. Mom had cried. Dad had gone silent for months, but we'd patched it with time and tamales at Christmas. That was a ghost story I told myself in the dark, scrolling Grindr profiles that never stuck. Alex was straight as the Space Needle, oblivious to the way my gaze lingered on his forearms when he handed over Mia's diaper bag. Harmless crush, I told myself. Just proximity playing tricks. That Friday, the gig started normal enough. Alex texted at 5 p.m., emergency code crunch at work. "Can you swing by? Mia's got that new dinosaur book." I showed up with my backpack of distractions, crayons, a tablet loaded with PBS Kids, and found him frazzled in khakis and a button-down tie askew like he'd wrestled it into submission. "You're a lifesaver, Gabe," he said, clapping my shoulder with that easy warmth that made my stomach twist. Mia launched herself at my legs, babbling about T-Rexes, and just like that, we were a unit, me on the living room rug, roaring through Jurassic Tales while Alex scarfed a protein bar and bolted for the door. "Lock up if you head out before me," he called over his shoulder. "Spare keys under the mat. And my brother's in town, Ethan. Might swing by if he's not buried in his own drama. Don't let him scare you, he's all bark. Ethan." The name hung in the air like smoke after a flare-up. Alex had mentioned him once or twice, a Wall Street hotshot, the prodigal son who'd traded family Thanksgivings for Manhattan penthouses and mergers that swallowed companies whole. The black sheep with a silver spoon. Or so the stories went. I filed it away, focusing on Mia's yawns as the clock ticked toward 9 p.m. Bedtime routine, bath bubbles that smelled like artificial strawberries, pajamas with rocket ships, and that damn dinosaur book where the hero always saves the day. But she was out, her chest rising and falling in the glow of a nightlight shaped like a firefly. I poured myself a glass of Alex's cheap Cabernet, perks of the job, and sank onto the couch, scrolling through my phone. The rain had picked up, a symphony against the windows, blurring the view of the neighbor's Christmas lights already up, defiant against November's gloom. That's when the door rattled, not a knock, but a shove, like the wood owed him money. He filled the frame, 6'2" of soaked denim and flannel, shoulders broad enough to block out the porch light. Dark hair plastered to his forehead, jaw set like it was carved from basalt, and eyes, those eyes, storm gray, slicing through the dim hall light straight to me. Mid-30s? Maybe. With the kind of rugged handsomeness that screamed ex-frat boy turned something sharper. Something that cut. A duffel bag slung over one shoulder, dripping onto the welcome mat that read "Home is where the heart is." Where the hell is he? The words weren't a question, they were a demand, laced with an edge that made the hair on my neck prickle. Alex. Tell me he didn't ditch his own kid again. I stood, wine glass clutched like a shield, my voice steadier than I felt. He's at work. Late shift. I'm Gabriel, Mia's babysitter. She's asleep upstairs. His gaze raked over me. Not hostile exactly, but assessing, like I was a variable in an equation he hadn't solved yet. Up close, he was even more disarming, faint lines at the corners of his eyes from too many late nights, stubble that shadowed a mouth twisted in perpetual almost smirk. The flannel clung to his chest, outlining muscle earned from what? Gyms and high-rises? Or something raw? Like chopping wood in the Cascades to escape the city? Ethan, he said finally, extending a hand that engulfed mine, warm, callous, with a grip that lingered a beat too long. Brother dearest. And you? Gabriel. Yeah. Alex mentioned the hot barista next door who's got a soft spot for his spawn. Heat flooded my cheeks, but I played it cool, pulling my hand back to gesture at the kitchen. Want a towel? Or coffee? You look like you swam here. He barked a laugh, short and bitter, dropping the bag with a thud. Tequila if he's got it. But coffee'll do. This reign's biblical, fitting for a homecoming. Right. We migrated to the kitchen, where I busied myself with the Keurig, stealing glances as he shrugged off the flannel, revealing a black tee stretched taut over his torso. Tattoos peeked from the sleeves, vines twisting up his biceps, ending in thorns that looked like they drew blood. He leaned against the counter, arms crossed, watching me with that unnerving intensity. So, I ventured, handing him a steaming mug. What brings the prodigal son back to Seattle? Alex said you're some finance wizard in New York. His fingers brushed mine on the mug, accidental, intentional, and he took a slow sip, eyes never leaving my face. Wizard. Sure. More like Wizard of Oz. Chasing tornadoes. Deal went south. Big one. Lost 8 figures today, and the board's got my balls in a vice. Figured family'd be the soft landing. There was a crack in his voice then, raw under the bravado, and it hooked something deep in me. I knew that tone, the one that masked freefall with jokes. Sounds like hell. But you're here now. Me'll be thrilled in the morning. She thinks uncles are magic. Ethan's smirk softened. Just a fraction. Kid's got good instincts. Unlike her old man. He set the mug down, leaning closer, the air between us thickening like the steam rising. And you, Gabriel? What's a guy like you doing playing Mary Poppins on a Friday night? No hot date? No dragging some twink home from the clubs? The question landed like a spark on dry tinder. He knew. Of course he did. Alex must have let it slip in one of those brotherly rants. My pulse thrummed, but I met his gaze. Chin up. Not tonight. Sometimes the quiet's better. Lets you hear yourself think. Or feel. His voice dropped. A murmur that vibrated through the space between us. He reached out, thumb grazing my knuckle where I'd nicked it earlier on a crayon wrapper. Careful with those edges, Gabe. They bite back. The touch lingered, electric, and the room shrank to just us, the rain a distant roar, the house holding its breath. I should have pulled away. Remembered Mia upstairs. Alex due back any minute. But desire's a sneaky bastard, whispering what if when reason screams stop. And in that moment, with Ethan's gray eyes pulling me under like Puget Sound currents, I drowned willingly. We talked for hours. Or what felt like it, the clock blurring as wine gave way to whiskey from Alex's cabinet. Ethan spun tales of Manhattan excess, rooftop parties where deals were sealed with handshakes and hangovers, lovers who vanished like stock tickers at close. It's all smoke, he said, swirling his glass, the amber catching the light like trapped fire. Chasing highs to forget the crash. You ever feel that? Like you're running from your own shadow? Every word peeled him back, layer by layer. Under the sharp suits and sharper wit was a man adrift, divorced 2 years back from a woman who'd called him emotionally unavailable in court papers that still burned in his wallet. Thought I was straight as an arrow, he confessed, voice rough, till the arrow bent. Dated a guy last year. Fireworks. Then he bailed when it got real. Family money. Family expectations, same old script. I nodded, sharing slivers of my own scars. The ex-boyfriend in college who'd ghosted after I came out to my folks. The grinder hookups that left me hollower than before. Seattle's got this way of isolating you, I said. Rainy days make it easy to hide. Hard to connect. His knee brushed mine under the island counter. Deliberate now. And neither of us moved. Maybe that's why I'm here. To stop hiding. The words hung, heavy with implication, and when his hand found my thigh, from questioning, I didn't flinch. Instead, I leaned in, our breaths sinking like a shared pulse. The kiss was inevitable, a collision born of storm and silence. His lips were whiskey warm, tasting of regret and want, his fingers threading through my hair with a gentleness that belied the hunger in his grip. We stumbled against the fridge, magnets clattering like applause, my hands mapping the ridges of his back, the heat of him seeping through cotton. It was messy, urgent, teeth-nipping, tongues tangling, as if we'd both been starving and only just found the table. Gabriel, he murmured against my neck. Voice wreck. This is insane. Alex could walk in. Fuck it, I gasped, pulling him closer, the world narrowing to the scrape of his stubble, the way his body arched into mine like it belonged there. We didn't make it far, just the couch, clothes shedding like old skin, his mouth tracing paths down my chest that left me arching, gasping his name like a prayer. It was more than sex, it was unraveling. In the dim lamplight, with rain lashing the windows, Ethan let me see him, the boy who'd idolized Alex growing up, the man who'd fled to New York to outrun their father's ghost, the lover who'd learned too late that vulnerability wasn't weakness. And I gave him my truths, the fear of forever alone, the ache for someone who saw past the barista smile to the poet scribbling verses on napkins. We collapsed in a tangle of limbs, sweat slick and spent, his head on my chest as the clock struck 2 a.m. "Stay," he whispered, fingers tracing lazy circles on my hip. "Just till dawn." I did. Curled against him, listening to his heartbeat steady into sleep, I dared to dream this stranger could be the anchor I'd been missing, the one who'd pull me from the fog. But dreams have a way of fracturing at first light. Sun sliced through the blinds like Judgment Day, painting stripes across Ethan's bare back where he sprawled, one arm slung possessively over my waist. Mia's voice piped from upstairs, "Gabe? Mommy's dinosaurs wanna play," yanking me from the haze of last night's blur. Reality crashed in, the rumpled couch, discarded clothes like evidence, the faint musk of us hanging in the air. I extricated myself gently, heart pounding, and tugged on boxers before padding to the kitchen for coffee. Ethan stirred as I passed, murmuring something incoherent, his face softening in sleep to reveal the vulnerability he'd armored by nightfall. Mia was a whirlwind, demanding cereal shaped like loops and stories about flying raptors. Obliged. My mind a split screen, her laughter pulling one way, the man downstairs tugging the other. By the time I heard the front door click, "Alex? Home early." Keys jingling like warning bells, panic clawed up my throat. "Morning, champ," Alex called, voice muffled by the coat rack. "Gabe still here? Mia? Where's your—" He froze in the doorway, eyes flicking from the living room chaos to me at the table, Mia oblivious as she shoveled frosted flakes. I forced a grin, casual as a heart attack. "Hey. Code crunch wrap-up? Yeah." Server glitch fixed itself. His gaze sharpened, landing on the couch, pillows askew, a sock peeking from the cushions like a guilty flag. "Crash here? Looks like a bomb went off." Before I could spin a tale, footsteps thudded from the hall. Ethan emerged, hair tousled, wearing nothing but his jeans from last night, zipped but unbuttoned at the top like an afterthought. "Morning, bro," he drawled, rubbing his neck, then clocked Alex's stare. The air thickened, charged with the unspoken. Alex's face cycled through confusion to dawning horror. "Ethan? What the fib? You too?" Ethan shot me a look, half apology, half defiance, and stepped forward, clapping Alex on the shoulder. "Easy, Alex. Just crashed after the drive." Gabe's a good guy, kept the fort down, but Alex wasn't buying it. His eyes darted between us, the subtext screaming louder than words. "Crashed." "Right." Turned to me, voice tight. "Thanks for everything, Gabe. I'll Venmo you double." "Mia, let's get you dressed." The dismissal stung, but I nodded, scooping up my shirt from the armrest, avoiding Ethan's gaze as I dressed. Mia hugged my legs, sticky fingers on my jeans. "Come back soon, Gabe. Uncle E can read Dinos too. If only she knew." As I grabbed my bag, Ethan cornered me by the door, his whisper hot against my ear. "Last night? Not a one-off. Dinner? My hotel downtown." "8. I hesitated, the pull of him warring with the knot in my gut. Alex's back was to us, rummaging in the fridge with forced normalcy. "Yeah," I breathed. "Text me," said. The rain had cleared to a drizzly mist, mirroring my mood as I hoofed it home. My apartment felt smaller, the walls closing in with echoes of Ethan's touch, fingers on my skin, breath in my ear. I showered, scrubbing away the evidence. But the ache lingered, sweet and sharp. Work that afternoon was a fog, steaming lattes for hipsters in beanies. My mind replaying every gasp, every whispered confession. By 7, I was pacing, nerves electric, when my phone buzzed. Not the Fairmont. Change of plans. Meet at Pike Place? The fish-throwing psychos always clear my head. Pike Place at dusk, the market's a sensory assault. Tourists dodging flying salmon while buskers strum Dylan covers. I spotted him by the original Starbucks, leaning on a railing overlooking the Sound. City lights fracturing on the water like broken promises. He looked different in daylight, less mythic. More man, jeans faded at the knees, a leather jacket warding off the chill. When he turned, smiling that crooked half-grin, my resolve crumbled. "Thought you'd bail," he said, pulling me into a hug that smelled of aftershave and sea salt. "Alex give you the 3rd degree? More like the side-eye special." We walked, shoulders brushing, the crowd parting like it sensed the gravity between us. He bought us chowder in bread bowls from a stall run by a grizzled vet with tattoos older than me. And we ate on a bench, knees knocking as fairies horned in the distance. Conversation flowed easy, dipping into depths we'd only skimmed last night. He talked about his ex-wife, Sarah, a lawyer who'd matched his ambition but not his mess. Their divorce a quiet implosion over martinis and missed flights. She deserved better, he admitted, spooning clams with unnecessary focus. Hell, I deserved the kick in the ass. And the guy after? Beth? Bold on the chowder's warmth. Ethan's laugh was low, self-deprecating. Jasper. Artist type, views, poetry slams, the works. Thought he saw me, you know, but when the market tanked last spring, he bailed. Said I was too Wall Street for his vibe. Left me questioning everything. The vulnerability in his voice mirrored my own fractures. And I shared more than I meant to, the family dinners where mom still prayed for clarity, the parade of almost relationships that fizzled under Seattle's gray skies. I want real, I said, staring at the water. Not fireworks that burn out. Something that sticks. He set his bowl aside, turning to face me fully, hand cupping my jaw with a tenderness that stole my breath. Then let's stick. Gabe. No scripts. Just us. The kiss there. Public and unapologetic. Tasted of salt and possibility, his lips firm, consistent, drawing murmurs from passers-by we ignored. We wandered after, hands linked, past flower stalls blooming defiant against November, into the warren of alleys where street art splashed color on brick. In a shadowed nook behind a gum wall plastered with decades of chewed confessions, he pressed me against cool stone, mouths fusing with a hunger that echoed last night's storm. "Hotel's too far," he growled, nipping my earlobe, hands sliding under my shirt to trace ribs that heaved under his touch. We didn't wait, fumbling into a cab, his thigh over mine, fingers laced as the driver pretended not to notice. His room at the Edgewater overlooked the harbor, all sleek lines and floor-to-ceiling glass. But we barely registered it, tumbling onto king-sized sheets that smelled of starch and sin. This time was slower, exploratory, his mouth mapping collarbones, tongue flicking nipples that pebbled under attention, my nails raking his back as he whispered filth and praise in equal measure. So fucking beautiful, he breathed. Eyes locked on mine as he sank into me, the stretch and burn giving way to a rhythm that synced our gasps. We moved like waves crashing, building to a crest that shattered us both, collapsing in a heap of tangled limbs and sated sighs. In the quiet hum of the city below, he traced my tattoos, a small pride flag inked on my hip from a college dare, and asked about my dreams. Poetry, I confessed, cheeks heating. Stupid, right? In a city of coders. Not stupid. Necessary. He kissed my temple, pulling me close. Read me something tomorrow. We fell asleep like that. Harbor lights flickering like fireflies. And for the first time in years, the fog lifted. But Ethan's world wasn't built for dawnings, it thrived in shadows. 2 days blurred into a fever dream, stolen lunches at my cafe where he'd perch on a stool. Gray eyes devouring me over black coffee, nights in his suite where we'd fuck until exhaustion claimed us. Bodies learning each other's languages, mine in shudders and pleas, his in growls and grips. He met me again. Properly this time. Over pancakes at Alex's. The tension with his brother thawing under her relentless charm. Alex even cracked a beer with us on the porch one evening. The three of us trading barbs about the Seahawks while Ethan's hand found mine under the railing. Hidden but electric. It felt like building bricks of trust mortared with touch. He talked future, wrap this mess with the board. Then maybe. Seattle? Proximity to family. To you. I let myself believe it, scribbling verses in my notebook about gray eyes and second chances. Then came the call. Thursday night. As we lay spent in my apartment, sheets thrift store thin. But ours. His phone buzzed on the nightstand. Screen lighting his face with a name, Jasper. He silenced it. But the damage was done, the flinch, the shadow crossing his features. Beth. Casual as I could muster, propping on an elbow. Yeah. Water under the bridge. But his voice was off. And later, when I feigned sleep, I heard him slip out to the fire escape, murmuring low, "Not now. Just complicated. Complicated." The word lodged like a splinter. I pushed it down, chalking it to ghosts. But doubt is a slow poison. Tried it. He vanished into meetings. Texts sporadic, board circling. Dinner later? I waited at our spot, a dive bar in Belltown with neon signs buzzing like bad omens, nursing a stout until last call. Phone silent. Saturday morning. Hangover pounding. I dragged to Alex's for a promised playdate with Mia. He answered the door. Face drawn. Holding a coffee like a lifeline. Gabe. We need to talk. The living room felt like an interrogation chamber. Mia at a friend's for the day. Alex paced. Words tumbling. Ethan's not who you think. Called me last night. Wasted. Said he's in deep with you. But Jasper's not an ex. They're engaged. Ring and everything. Flew out to fix it after the deal blew up, some reconciliation tour. The room tilted. Air sucked vacuum tight. Engaged? He said. I know what he said. Alex stopped. Eyes pitying. Ethan's my brother. And I love him. But he's a hurricane. Leaves wreckage. Told me to warn you weeks ago. But you too. It snowballed. He's flying back to New York tomorrow. With Jasper. Rage boiled up. Hot and bitter. Chasing the hurt. I stormed out. Fists clenched. The mile to Ethan's hotel a blur of drizzle and denial. He opened the door shirtless. Surprise flickering to guilt as I shoved past. Words spilling like venom. Engaged? You fucking liar. All that talk of sticking lies to what? Ease your conscience while you play house. He reached for me. But I jerked back. Listen. No. You listen. Tears burned. But I held them. Voice steel. I gave you everything. My walls. My bed. My goddamn heart. And you? You're just slumming it till the real life's calling. Jasper emerged from the bathroom then, tall, with cheekbones like blades and eyes that sized me up coolly. Babe, he drawled to Ethan. Accent pure Brooklyn. We talked about this. Clean breaks. The endearment gutted me. Ethan's face crumpled, stepping between us. Just give us a minute. To me, it was real. Gabriel. It was the first real thing in years. But Jasper. We have history. The ring was impulse. I was gonna end it. Swear. History, I spat. That's your excuse? Save it for the boardroom. Earned. The door slamming like a guillotine. But his hand caught my wrist, pulling me back into the hall. Sit. Fight for this. His voice broke. Gray eyes pleading. I choose you. The elevator dinged. Jasper's shadow in the crack. Choice? It was a cruel joke. I wrenched free. Whispering. Too late, and fled into the rain. The city swallowing me whole. The next week was a descent. Each day a deeper dig into the wound. Work blurred into monotony, pouring espressos with hands that shook. Forcing smiles for customers who chattered about weekend hikes while my mind replayed Ethan's pleas on loop. Alex texted apologies. He's gone. Sorry I didn't speak up sooner. Beers on me? I ignored it. The fence between our yards a new Berlin Wall. Mia's crayon drawings appeared in my mailbox. Dinos with hearts. Labeled for Gabe, twisting the knife with innocence. Nights were worse. My apartment a tomb of echoes. The fire escape where he'd paced now mocking me with city hum. I deleted his number. But muscle memory betrayed, fingers hovering over unsent texts. Was it ever real? Poetry poured out. Raw and jagged. Verses scrawled on bar napkins about thorns disguised as vines. Loves that bloom toxic. By Wednesday, the isolation clawed too deep. Meeting Alex at a dive near the stadium. The kind with peanut shells on the floor and jukebox crooning Springsteen. He slid a pitcher across the scarred table. Face etched with brotherly guilt. Ethan's a mess. Called from JFK? Ranting about losing the best thing since. Jasper dumped him mid-flight. Said Ethan's distracted, code for you. A bitter laugh escaped me. Foam clinging to my upper lip. Calm as a bitch. But it doesn't fix this. Alex. He played me. This. Alex nodded, swirling his pint. Yeah. Ethan's always been the charmer, Dad's favorite. Till the divorce blew the family fortune. Learned to spin webs young. But with you, he was different. Lit up talking about your poems. That barista grin. Begged me to put in a word. Don't. The word cracked. And I drained half the glass. the buzz dulling edges. I trusted him. Let him in. Now every touch feels like a bruise. We talked till closing, him venting about single dad trenches, me unspooling the ache of almost love. It helped. The shared grief forging a bridge over the betrayal. You're stronger than this, he said as we hugged goodbye. Rain slick under street lamps. And if he shows, kick his ass first. Talk later. Strength. The word mocked as I stumbled home, but it planted a seed. Thursday brought a shift change, closing solo. The cafe emptying to ghosts as I wiped counters. Radio murmuring indie folk about lost lovers. The bell jingled past hours. And there he stood, gaunt in a wool coat. Eyes hollowed like he'd aged a decade. Gabriel. My name was a plea. Hands shoved in pockets to hide their tremble. Can we? No. But my feet betrayed. Locking the door instead of bolting him out. The air hummed. Charged with unfinished business. He didn't crowd. Just leaned on a pastry case. Voice low. I ended it. For good. Jasper's out. Took the ring. Thought. Everything. Flew back alone. Spent 3 days walking Manhattan. Realizing you're the one I can't shake. Lies or truth. His face was a map of ruin, stubble overgrown. Cheeks sunken, and damn if it didn't tug at the frayed strings in my chest. Why? I demanded. Arms crossed like armor. Why me? Some Seattle side piece to spice up the regret tour. His laugh was hollow, echoing off tile. Side piece? Gabe. You're the first person who's seen me, flaws, fuck-ups, all of it, and didn't run. That night at Alex's? It wasn't planned. You were. Home. He stepped closer. Close enough for cologne to whisper memories. I love you. Terrifying. Stupid love. Fight me on it. The words landed like thunder. Cracking defenses I'd shored with spite. I wanted to shove him. But instead, tears welled. Spilling hot. You broke me. Ethan. How do I trust? You don't. Not yet. His hand hovered. Then cupped my cheek. Thumb brushing salt away. But let me earn it. Start small. Coffee? No strings. Just talk. I leaned into the touch. Traitorous body craving what my head warned against. One coffee. Then you go. It became 2. Then dinners, neutral ground. Like the waterfront park where gulls wheeled and we shared takeout pho. Knees brushing under picnic blankets. He was patient, a shadow of the hurricane, listening as I vented rage, sharing his own unraveling therapy sessions in a midtown high-rise, where he'd admitted the bisexuality he'd buried under boardroom bluster. Dad called it a phase, he said one evening, skyline glittering behind us. Phase that lasted 30 years. Vulnerability bred mine. I read him those poems, the ones born of our blaze and bust, voice cracking on lines about gray eyes like tempests, bodies like salvations. He cried. Once. Head in his hands. And I held him. The shift seismic. From lovers to something tentative. Rebuilding. Weeks layered like snowfall. Him extending his stay. Crashing on my couch, though it rarely stayed platonic. Hands wandering in the dark. Alex thawed fully. Barbecues where Mia crowned us Dino Kings, her laughter the glue. Ethan job hunted local, consulting gigs for Seattle startups, trading mergers for meaning. But trust is a fragile rebuild, and cracks spiderwebbed. Late calls from New York numbers. His phone face down during arguments with ex-clients. One night, post-dinner at my place, I found a text lit on his screen while he showered. Miss you. That Seattle boy's just a rebound. Come home. The world grayed. Betrayal's echo roaring back. I confronted him dripping in a towel. Words a whip. Rebound? Is that all I am? Snatching the phone. No, Jasper's grasping. Stalking my emails. I blocked him. But he's desperate. Desperate like you were? The accusation hung. And he recoiled as if slapped. You still don't believe me. Hurt laced his tone. But under it, defeat. After everything, you lied once. How's this different? Voices rose. Dishes rattling in sinks. Until Mia's nightmare cry pierced from next door, telegraphing the chaos we'd bleed into innocence. He dressed in silence. Coat on like armor. Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm poison. At the door. Turned. Eyes shattered glass. I love you, Gabriel. But if you can't see it, I'm gone. The slam reverberated, leaving me in a void of what if. I collapsed on the bed, sobs racking, the poems scattering like confetti from a funeral. Dawn brought clarity, cold and cutting. I couldn't lose him, not to ghosts, not to fear. Grabbing keys, I raced to his hotel, heart hammering harder than the rain resuming outside. The lobby was a blur, elevator ascent eternal, until I pounded on his door. He opened hollow-eyed, bag half-packed. Gabe, stop. I pushed inside, hands framing his face, forcing his gaze. You're not poison. You're mine. Flaws and all. But no more secrets. We fight clean from here. Relief flooded him, arms crushing me close as lips met in a kiss born of survival, fierce, forgiving. No secrets, he vowed against my mouth. Just us. We made love then, slow and sacred, reclaiming ground lost to doubt. Bodies entwined, whispers weaving promises, therapy together, boundaries drawn like maps. You stayed. Job secured at a green tech firm. Our lives stitching, my shifts ending with his pickup. Coffee runs turning to shared sunrises. Months unfurled, spring chasing winter's gray. Cherry blossoms dusting queen and like confetti. We moved in together, his sleek edges softening my thrift chaos. Books mingling with spreadsheets. Alex walked Mia down the block to our door for uncle sleepovers, her giggles the soundtrack to our mending. One evening, harbor sunset painting the living room gold. Ethan knelt, not with a ring, but a notebook, my verses bound in leather. Read to me forever? He asked. Only if you promise storms, I teased, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted of forever. Betrayal had scarred us, but scars toughen. In Seattle's embrace, rain and all, we bloomed, human and whole. Two men who'd chosen the messy beauty of love over the safety of alone. Yet humanity's weave frays at the edges, and ours tugged hard come summer. Ethan's firm boomed, sustainable energy contracts flooding in, whisking him to conferences in Austin, Portland, once even D.C. where power lunches bled into late flights. I Thrive Too. A poetry slam at the Hugo House landed me a chapbook deal. Verses of us spilling ink like blood. Nights he was gone. I'd pace our balcony. Phone glued to hand. His voice a tether across time zones. Miss your laugh. Gabe. Home soon. The word anchored. But distance bred whispers. Missed calls explained as network glitches. Cologne on a shirt I swore wasn't mine. Paranoia? I chided. Born of old wounds. Until the email. Innocuous in my inbox amid publisher proofs. A conference itinerary. Ethan's name bolded. With a footnote dinner invite from Ketchup? Jasper fucking Andrews. I cross-checked dates. Ethan's solo trip to Austin overlapped precisely. Rage simmered. But I swallowed it. Waiting for his key in the lock that night. Casual as a summer breeze. He breezed in. Tylus. Carrying takeout from our Thai spot. Pad CW extra lime. My weakness. Missed you, he murmured. Kissing my temple. But his eyes skittered. Guilt's tell. We ate on the couch. Mia's latest artwork taped to the fridge like talismans. Good trip. I probed. Fork spearing noodles. Great. Closed the wind farm deal, millions for clean power. Pride lit his face. But faltered under my stare. But, you okay? The email. I slid my phone across. The invite glaring. His fork clattered. Color draining. It's nothing. Networking. Jasper's in renewables now. Old acquaintance. Acquaintance. The word spat like acid. The one who called me rebound? Engaged exes don't network over steak. But I recoiled. Standing to pace. I went. To feel him out, see if he was over it. Harmless. Harmless. Echoes of before. You promised clean fights. This? Sneaking shadows. It wasn't, he rose. Voice rising. You're suffocating me. Gabe. Every trip. Every call, it's like you wait for the knife. The accusation boomeranged. My hurt sharpening to blade. Because you gave me reasons. But then half-truths. How do I know this isn't round 3? We spiraled, words as weapons. Dredging graves, his father's abandonment. My family's conditional love. The fear we both wore like second skins. I can't keep proving myself, he shouted. Hands fisting hair. If you don't trust me, what's left? Us, I whispered. But the door loomed, and he grabbed his keys. Need air. Don't. He was gone. Taillights vanishing into dusk. I sank to the floor. Sobs echoing. The apartment vast and vacant. Hours blurred, texts unanswered. Voicemails pleading until Alex's knock. Face grim. He's at the airport. Bought a ticket to New York. It's over. Can't breathe here. The world fractured. Pieces sharp underfoot. I drove. Reckless through traffic. To SeaTax chaos, halls thrumming with farewells. Security swallowed him. But I spotted his gait. Sprinting. Lungs burning. Ethan. My cry cut the din. And he turned. Bag slung. Eyes red-rimmed. Security eyed us. But he waved them off. Stepping into the aisle. Gabe. Go home. No. I gripped his arm. Voices low amid announcements. This is home.
This is
But real. I trust you. Forgive me the fear. He searched my face. Thunderclouds parting. And the dinners? The doubts. Water under.
therapy.
Check-ins?
Whatever.
Stay. The beat.
Turn.
Then his bag dropped. Arms crushing me as lips met, desperate. Devouring. A public vow amid stranger stares. Staying, he breathed. Always. We walked out hand in hand. Dawn breaking over the sound. A new chapter etched in light. But life's not linear, it's a spiral. Ascending through trials. Fall brought balance, couples counseling in a cozy office overlooking Green Lake. Where we unpacked baggage, his flight patterns. My anchors of anxiety, emerging lighter. Lace tighter. Mia's 5th birthday, a backyard bash with piñatas and uncles in matching aprons. Ethan's laughter booming as candy rained. Winter tested again, Jasper's final gambit. A letter arriving unbidden, he'll break you. Like he did me.
But
Ethan burned it together. Ashes in the sink. Our kiss sealing the pyre. By spring's thaw. We stood on our balcony. Cherry petals drifting like blessings. He knelt then. Properly, velvet box. Simple band glinting. Marry me, Gabriel. Not despite the storms. But because of them. Tears blurred. But I nodded. Pulling him up.
just
To every wave.
the wedding was a small
American Dream Queer, a courthouse affair with Alex Bestman G. Mia flower girl in overalls. Vows exchanged under evergreens. Rain holding its breath. Vows, I choose your chaos. Your quiet. In fog and fire. I'm yours. Years layered, adoptions talked in whispers. A joint poetry finance life. Travels to beaches where we swam free. Betrayals faded to footnotes. Love the bold print, human. Enduring. In the end, it's not the heights that define us, but the climbs. And ours? A summit worth every scar.